So today we're going to be analyzing some popular movie scenes and critically analyzing some legal concepts that we've kind of pulled out of each one of these things. Let's watch.
How do you want to go in?
We'll go to the back door. Maybe he'll let us in. You never know.
Yeah, he's a kid. Kids are stupid.
So Home Alone is one of those movies, one of those classic movies that I loved as a kid. But I was always asking questions with regards to people's legal rights and those types of issues. And I tell you, I analyze things completely differently now than I did as a child. Let's watch. He's protecting his home. He has every right to do that. But the way in which he protects his home has to be reasonable. And so there's certain questions I have already with regards to him walking around with this assault rifle and things of that nature. Is that reasonable in the protection of your home? Let's watch.
We know that you're in there and that you're all alone.
Yeah, come on, kid, open up. It's Santa Claus. And it's Elf.
We're not gonna hurt you.
No. Got some nice presents for you.
Be a good little fella now and open the door.
What?
So are you allowed to stick your gun outside of your house and shoot somebody trying to break in? Well, here in Texas, would that be reasonable? In many states, that type of conduct would be illegal, right? But here in the state of Texas, where everyone has guns, I think there's no one who's going to prosecute him for something of that nature when he's protecting his home against burglars. Now again, Kevin very smartly is setting these traps up to deter these guys from further intruding in his home. Are they reasonable to have an iron drop on your head, possibly killing you? Again, the burglar would have a cause of action against the homeowner for any potential head injuries, trauma, TBI. But again, I'm not representing a burglar, not here in Texas. Okay, so the question we have to ask ourselves, are the actions taken by Kevin reasonable in defense of his property? Yes, we know that these guys are burglars and they're wrongdoers and they're adults trying to take advantage of a child, but are the actions of Kevin, a minor, are they reasonable? Because in my eyes, although the antics are interesting and they're fun and he's defending his property, we have to find out, did he take it too far? All these potentially life-damaging and altering or ending little antics that he did, are they reasonable? One thing for sure, I would not be wanting to represent the burglars for any action they have against the homeowner. Because let's talk about it. Yes, I was trying to come in there to steal his property, and as I was trying to steal his property, he hit me in the head and caused me injury. What any juror is going to say is, why the hell are you trying to steal from somebody, and I'm not going to reward you? Now, certainly the law may be on their side with regards to being able to recover, but in most instances, I don't think a reasonable jury, is going to render any type of reasonable verdict or puts an unreasonable burden on a child trying to defend himself against adult burglars. Okay, now let's move on to scene number 2.
As long as we both shall live, no matter what happens.
Hey, come on. We're superheroes. What could happen?
In a stunning turn of events, a superhero is being sued for saving someone who apparently didn't want to be saved. The plaintiff, Oliver Sansweet, who was foiled in his attempted suicide by Mr. Incredible, has filed suit against the famed superhero in Superior Court.
This is interesting because I remember studying about a case of this nature where someone did want to kill themselves and then someone else saved that person's life, and there was an issue with regards to damages that ensued because of those injuries and whether or not that person who was saving their life was responsible. So it's not as simple as you think. Ordinarily, I would think, okay, hey, I'm in the act of saving your life. I can do whatever I want to. Well, that is not the case. When you're saving someone's life, you still have a duty to act reasonably and not to provoke and sustain additional and unnecessary injury. Sorry for the interruption, but for more content like this, follow our socials. And now, back to the video.
Mr. Sansweet didn't ask to be saved. Mr. Sansweet didn't want to be saved. And the injury received from Mr. Incredible's actions, so-called, causes him daily pain.
Hey, I saved your life!
You didn't save my life, you ruined my death. That's what you did.
Did Mr. Incredible have consent to save this person's life? Consent is an absolute issue as related to this. And no, he did not have his consent to save this person's life. So although he's in the act of rescue and you'd think you'd have ultimate or free reign to do whatever, no. If you're found to be negligent in saving someone while you're in the act of doing that and you cause injury, you can be sued and found liable. Now, luckily, what we've done in most situations we've created these Good Samaritan laws, right? Whereas, hey, if I'm in the act of trying to save you in an emergency, then don't use that against me, right? And so to encourage people to save and get involved in people's, in saving the lives of others and not making injuries and damages worse. There's some people who are gonna try and game the system and try and get something for nothing in certain circumstances, and some lawyers wanna represent people under those circumstances, which of course I always stay clear of. The question is, did the people involved, did they act reasonably in their actions when they're trying to save people? That is pretty much the standard. And again, in most situations, juries and judges are going to rule for those people that are putting themselves out, that are, even if they make a mistake or they do something that's too much, were they acting in the best interest of that person? And were their acts reasonable? If their acts were reasonable, in most cases, they're gonna be okay.
Next. There's no featherweight division here, small fry. Next.
No, sign me up.
Okay. You understand the NYWL is not responsible for any injury you may and probably will sustain while participating in said event, and you are indeed participating under your own free will?
Yes.
Down the hall to the ramp. May God be with you. Next.
So I would be really interested to see exactly the contract that Peter Parker signed with regards to disclosure of information. Was he made aware that this was a cage match? Or was it just, hey, just come in and wrestle and let's see what happens? Because if they did not disclose these details to him, that could be a breach of the agreement between him and the wrestling company.
Are you ready for more? Moonsault is ready.
So I'm going to have to assume if you're engaging in this type of an activity, you have to assume that you potentially could get hurt. So in terms of him bringing action as related to his injuries, I would have to believe that most of those things would be contemplated. Hey, just like playing football, you understand you're assuming the risk of getting involved in something and because of those things, you're not going to be able to bring an action for issues that normally would happen if you're engaging in such activity.
Please lock the cage doors at this time.
Hey, listen, it's some kind of mistake. I didn't sign up for a cage match. Hey, unlock the thing. Take the chain off.
Hey, Freak Show, you're going nowhere.
So in matters of this nature, you have to be very clear that the contract includes everything that you're concerned with, from duration to amounts of money to things that you are anticipating, things that you don't want to have happen. When you talk about an agreement, you have to make sure that everything that you're contemplating as related to that arrangement is within the four corners of that contract. If you come up with something afterwards or you didn't think of something later, it's going to be disqualified potentially if it's not contained within the four corners of that written contract. Okay? Nightcrawler. What the hell is he doing? Why is he moving the body around? Why is he tampering with evidence? This guy is crossing the line by not just reporting information, but by getting involved and moving things around. He's tampering with an accident scene. That is an absolute no-no. The police need to go in there and get what the real evidence is. How did this story really unfold? Where did the bodies really end up? And by moving things around, by altering things so it's more interesting for his story, he's affecting a lot of different things here, and also potentially getting involved in something where it could be a criminal violation of law. That is an absolute no-no, and he's crossed the line here. Okay, so hopefully you found this as interesting as we have with regards to reliving these scenes and figuring out what legal concepts we can pull from there. Were people acting recklessly? Were their actions reasonable underneath the circumstances? The fact that you need to have everything in a contract written out very clearly and very succinctly. There's a number of different concepts I hope that we've kind of exposed you to that you can benefit from. Go look up some of these other concepts with regards to the Good Samaritan laws and what those responsibilities are, and let us know what is interesting to you, right? This is our thoughts. We want to know from you. Leave a comment, follow us, share the information, and let us know what else you would like for us to analyze for you at a later show. I'm Attorney Darren Miller, and this is DLAW.